Let's bring in CTV military analyst General David Fraser, who is a former commander of NATO forces in southern Afghanistan. General Fraser, good to see you. Your thoughts on the takeaway here. Let's start with those weapons purchases, what you think that's going to mean.
Well, it's good news for American weapons production because, in fact, U.S. are going to bolster their own economic well-being with the Europeans paying for it. So Trump gets a win-win. He gets business for the private sector, and other people are going to pay for it. So that's good news for U.S. and great news for the Ukraine that they get the much-needed ammunition and Patriot missile systems plus to fight the Russians who continue to advance.
Does it make any difference on the battlefield, though?
It's going to make a difference in protecting the cities that are being attacked by the drones. It will help bolster the will and the morale of the people of Ukraine, because that's what Russia's been doing, is terrorist attacks, trying to shake in the will. So this is a positive step, and it will make a difference.
How about the threat of tariffs against the Russians and possibly secondary sanctions against countries that buy Russian oil, which we know is helping to fuel and pay for this war? A 50-day deadline. Does that kick the can down the road? What do you make of that?
Well, I think Trump has kicked the can down the road by 50 days. I think the Congress is trying to push harder of sanctions against Russia, led by Senator Graham. And I think Trump is trying to find the middle ground between not going after his buddy, but at the same time making sure he doesn't disenfranchise the Republican Party. So, again, this is something that Putin's going to take note of. And it gives a lot of time for negotiations in between the 50 days.
The Russian economy has been very resilient, as you know, over the last 3.5 years. There were all sorts of, theories that the Russian economy would be brought to its knees by all the sanctions. It is the most heavily sanctioned country on earth right now. Is this kind of threat going to make any difference to the calculus going on in Moscow?
Todd, in a word, probably not. Russia has pivoted it off of, the economy with the West. They're now going off mainly with the BRIC countries, and also China, North Korea, and elsewhere. And they're selling their oil on the shadow markets and whatnot. So Russia's, is doing okay. And so this is not going to have a big impact on them in the short term or even the midterm. So we shouldn't expect a big change in what the Russians are going to do.
And for the Ukrainians looking at all of this and the unpredictability of Donald Trump, it's hard to know whether this decision may change as well in the months ahead.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be Zelensky in this, because you don't know which day, the United States is going to support you. But it's a good news story for helping them thwart the advance, because Russia is attacking. They're using politics to shadow what they're actually doing at the lower level by trying to buy time. So I think for Zelensky, this helps him, buy more time and stop that attack. But at the same time, we've got to get to the negotiating table to end this. Thousands of soldiers are dying every day, and mainly Russians nowadays.
General Fraser, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated.